up, you guys? Wowee, that was a heck of a battle to begin UH's final season in the Big West. And they managed to turn back UC Davis, as you see the score here, 75-69. And fortunately, it wasn't like last season where UH, it was senior night for them the last time they took on Davis, and UH led from start to finish. This time, UH led just about start to finish. They did lose the lead just for a little bit, but what really stood out to me then was the fact that they were able to retake the lead and go on to win. Fortunately, UH started out conference 1-0 for the first time in about 3 years since 2022, when they started out 6-0. Or sorry, 2023. 2022, they started out 6-0. 2023 was when they started out with the first couple wins of the season. After that, it was kind of like Jekyll and Hyde games. That was after winning the Diamond Head Classic, but that was kind of haunting them for much of the season, those Jekyll and Hyde games. But it had been a while since UH started out conference play on a winning note. And I thought that was a good win for them. There are a lot of things to work on. Obviously, they did do that, I'm sure, during practice. The next time they play is tonight against Cal State Fullerton before we go back to non-conference play. And I'm really glad that UH was able to get at least one win and avoid a worst-case scenario of an 0-2 start. That's what happened last year. And although they did win the next 3 games, after that, it was kind of like downhill from that point on. And UH ended up not qualifying for the Big West tournament, finishing 9th overall. But in the meantime, it was much different this year. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But first off, guys, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to. I will do another recap video after the Cal State Fullerton game tonight. But fortunately, I will have a little bit of extra time because after tonight, they will go back to non-conference play for 2 games against UH Hilo and UTEP. And after that, they'll have the rest of December off. So with that being said, subscribe. That's how they judge us on YouTube. And let's get into this. So there's my banner. UH defeats UC Davis. 58% at free throw line, won't cut it. 15 turnovers, better than I thought. Now, I will say this, though. When I say 15 turnovers was better than I thought, for some reason, I thought they would be pretty close to 20. And although 15 is kind of close to 20, the fact that it was only 15 was actually a lot better than I thought. Because like I said, I thought they were going to be close to 20 or over 20. The way that they played tonight, it was a little bit on the sloppy side at times. But fortunately, UH got out to a good start and took an early 15-5 advantage. But after that, Davis stormed back. They were able to take the lead close to the end of the first half, but UH was able to take it back. And fortunately, UH got really lucky because they shot 58% at the free throw line. They were 18 for 31. Fortunately, they were able to play solid on defense and offense. And while 58% at the free throw line against another team is likely not going to cut it, they were very lucky to be able to play hard on defense. And fortunately, they took care of the ball pretty decently. The guy who led scoring that night was Dre Bullock, but that was actually pretty fortunate for him because his game could very well have been over in like the first 5 minutes because he had this really scary moment where he tried to go for a slam dunk and ended up on his head. Oh, good. Oh! Wow. Fortunately, he came back to lead UH with 15 points, Hunter Erickson added 14 of his own. And with Isaac Johnson and Harry Rallied saddled with foul trouble, Yacine Toumi came up for a big game for himself with 13, and he was able to provide a lot of energy in the post. So I was very, very encouraged by that. To see Toumi put in this kind of performance shows me that he came ready to go after Johnson and Rallied were saddled with foul trouble. Unfortunately, both guys didn't break more than 5 points. Johnson had only 4, and Rallied had just 2. So Yacine Toumi had to carry the load, and he handled it like a champ. So my props to him. And if I were to give a player the game that night, I would have to give that nod to Yacine Toumi, because the way that he played, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Bernardo da Silva when he was here. But another guy that he also kind of reminds me of is Ahmet Guy. And Guy is from 20 years ago, almost anyway. But the way that he played in the post, he looked like a guy that was not going to be denied at all. He was a perfect 4 for 4 from the field that night. Toumi, I'm talking about. And if it weren't for him, UH may very well have been lucky to walk away with that win by the skin of their teeth. And as it turned out, that's 7 in a row for UH at home over UC Davis. Now, Jim Les and his crew, they're pretty comparable to UH. And it seems like every time we go up against them, there's always one of the returnees or 2 of the returnees that ends up becoming the cream of the crop for them in their season. And in this case, with T.Y. Johnson graduating and Pablo Tamba entering the transfer portal, it was Nils Cooper who came out as one of their key players, along with Connor Sevilla. And props to Davis, too, because Connor Sevilla scored 17 to lead them, and they were all in the second half. And that led all players as well. Marcus Wilson, a Wazoo transfer, he had some good energy as well. And are we going to get a win over Davis at their place? Man, I sure hope so. But they definitely got to clean things up, because with 58% at the free throw line, if they did that at Davis's place, in Davis's house, that's likely not going to cut it, along with 15 turnovers. But I have to admit, though, like I said, I thought that they were going to end up close to 20, and it turns out they were not really that close to 20, not as close as I thought anyway. But if they can tone down the turnovers and make some more free throws when it counts, fortunately they did. They're going to be tough to beat, UH I'm talking about. But fortunately, I have to give a lot of credit to Aaron Hunken-Clater of UH, because he finally got things together towards the end and made 5 straight free throws, especially on a night where free throws were kind of troublesome for UH as well, missing 13 of them. So obviously we're going to have to get a little better in that department, but I'm sure a lot of that was just, it's just how it is, because obviously that's scouting, and likely Davis knew that Isaac Johnson is UH's top free throw shooter, and Johnson did not take a free throw in that game. But I don't think that's going to be a bump in the road for him. I fully expect Johnson to come out with a much better game, and hopefully he won't be saddled with foul trouble. But as far as UH goes, they had 8 after the first half, turnovers, I mean. They had 8 after the first half, did a little better in the second half with 7. Whereas in contrast, Davis was actually not too far off. They had 11. So hopefully that will clean that up for Cal State Fullerton, because Fullerton is a team that you can't take lightly, along with any other conference opponent, of course. But they also dropped a close one to Cal Poly. And fortunately, it looks like they might come in with a little bit of hangover from that, but we'll see what happens. you never know if they're going to come into this game with a little bit of hangover or a little bit of motivation. But fortunately, UH has won their last 4 meetings, I believe, over Cal State Fullerton, because they won the road game against them in 2024, and they swept them. So actually 3 times, and they swept them last season. So obviously we're going to have to come in with a lot of fire. I really like the start, how UH started out. And if they can come in with another good start, they will be tough to beat if you're Cal State Fullerton. And as for Cal State Fullerton, I'm putting UH as 3-point favorites. And hopefully they can come in with a complete effort and perhaps win by a lot more than 3. And that's where I'll leave it. So no disrespect to Fullerton. I do expect them to come out with a lot of fire. I do expect this to not be an easy game, but we'll see what happens. UH will have to definitely work on these 2 things, free throws and turnovers. So hopefully we'll come in with a lot better performance. And maybe now that we got a couple conference games under our belts, we'll start to play a little bit more expected, at a little more expected level. So hopefully that will happen. In the meantime, thanks, you guys. Remember, subscribe, and I'll see you all after the Cal State Fullerton game. Go Bows!